Welcome everyone to the last product update of 2025. I'm Juan Veloso Organ, the Talis Marketing Manager. Next slide, please, Kate. So we have a full house today. I'm joined by Scott Gibbons, the Talis Head of Product, and our two lovely product managers, Georgia and Kate. So this is actually our first webinar using Teams. So just some housekeeping rules. If you can't hear us, please rejoin the webinar. We do encourage some conversation during the webinar, so connect with each other in the chat. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A button and post your questions throughout the webinar, and then we'll answer them right at the end. And last thing is, this session is recorded, and we'll send the recording to you after the webinar. Next slide, please. So the agenda for today's webinar is the following. We'll start by having a look at some of the work we've done recently, and then next we'll have a look at some of the updates coming next year. Then we'll have a look back at the great work we've done this year, and then we'll look at when our next product update will take place. And lastly, we'll answer your questions. With that said, over to Kate.
Thank you so much, Juan. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our December call. For me, I'm going to just run us through a few things that we've just finished recently, specifically the WorldCat API migration, the ad resource search enhancements, and bookmarking workflow, and then I'll hand it over to Georgia. So first of all, for those of you who are OCLC customers, they let us know that the WorldCat registry API would be shut down at the end of November. So we set up the replacement and have already configured all of you. You should all be using the replacement now. We have one action for you, though, for the OCLC customers only. If you could please sign and return those amended contracts to them this month. They have requested that. So we appreciate that, and thank you to those who did already. So the second thing I have is the ad resource enhancements. This is for everyone. This was the third pillar of bookmarking, and this is where users are bookmarking through while editing a list, and they want to add a new bookmark to a specific point in a section or list. So we've done three things, which you should all have access to now. The two, first of all, to help you differentiate between different things. So we had heard back when we did discovery integration that it was sometimes hard to differentiate between search results, and people were having to add multiple items to a list and then go check them and delete the ones they didn't want. So we have done a couple things. So first, we have provided the labels to show if it is in your holdings, whether it's a subscription or whatnot, or if it's an e-resource. Both of those labels will come up and make it instantly obvious for you. And then the second thing we did was to add the expanded item details. So you'll get more metadata, and you can just check it right there just by clicking on the title, like you used to with MBD. With the World Book Search, you can check the other information, and those should, between those two things, that should give you what you need to determine if it's the right resource that you're trying to add to your lists. The third thing is the one I'm most excited about. For all of you who do or want to use the mandatory importances, this both benefits the student and academic for their communications and expectations during a course, as well as librarians for your purchasing accuracy. Those are now integrated with the add to list here. So anybody who has it configured to turn on will already be seeing this when they attempt to add a search result right into a list. Or if you were waiting, now is the time to go back and request that you turn on mandatory importances, and that will appear for you. The third thing I want to talk about today is the bookmarking flow. I'm just going to briefly review holistically what we've done, talk about some of the recent improvements, and the next step. So for those of you who are maybe new, or to remind those who maybe have not been on a call recently, this is a new preview screen. So we've changed the flow. So we're talking about when somebody uses the Talis Aspire, the Talis extension to bookmark a resource off your discovery system or off the web. In the classic look, they would go into a long form with the metadata. They'd have to find their way through the form, figure out what metadata to add, and kind of guess what it's going to look like on the list. But now all they have to do is preview it here. When they click the extension, they get this, and the best one, as we assume is the best one for them, will be previewed, and they can just save it immediately. So for all of you who have those workflows to just add all your bookmarks in a row, you preview and save, preview and save, preview and save. And we've already heard some good feedback that that is smoothing those processes down. Additionally, we think it may reduce some time in reviews as well. Now, in those cases where you do have to edit, we have improved the usability of the edit form based on your requests and the research and the prototypes that we tested with you. So those edit forms are already available for everyone using the new flow. We are in the process of mirroring those changes for the existing resources you might want to edit on existing lists. And we have resumed that work, and it's about a little over 50% of the way through. So stay tuned for that coming early next year. Additionally, you already have the new form in Create manually, but there are some improvements we wanted to make for you. So those will be coming up in this month, or possibly next month at the latest, is my expectation. That's how we have it planned at the moment. So what have we done recently? And this is based on your feedback. So our primary goal this month has been to make sure that we've aligned the new bookmarking flow with the old one, so you won't be losing anything. So we have now completed these items. If you're bookmarking an actual website, it won't show up as a resource type document. It'll be website as it should be. In the situation where you have a catalog match, which is usually the best match that you can have, we will hide the open library ones because they typically weren't providing any value to you. We made a number of different tweaks to the preview and CMatches screens based on the feedback. I think for the most part, you'll only be using the preview anyway. But we have tried to fix the wordings and various other things. And then finally, we fixed a few issues for folks using Heritage. We have a couple more that are pending release. They're in review right now. So you should be seeing those shortly. The order that the options come out for the one that's defaulted to the preview screen and the ones that are in the CMatches, those orders have been a bit random based on what the API gives us, and that was nothing that we managed, but we've put in some code there, so it should make it more predictable for you, and I'm hoping that will make your lives easier as well. And then finally, for EDS users, we have made an edit to the EBSCO the EBSCO parser to automatically mark those as view online. That should reduce that time. You shouldn't have to be remembering to do that, so that should help. So that's it in a nutshell. So with the big slam, we're all excited to turn on the rest of the tendencies for the 12th of January, unless you've agreed a different date with customer success. But we do encourage you, if you want to go live sooner, please get in touch with them, and they are happy to oblige. So with that, congratulations, everybody, to the teams and to all of you for your feedback and getting that working. It's been a great pleasure to work on that with you. And now I will hand over to Georgia, who's going to tell us what's coming.
Thank you so much, Kate. Next slide, please. So today I'm going to be talking you through what we are building in terms of our tagging project, and I'm just going to give you some high-level overview bits first, and then I'm going to go straight in through a click through of our design so you can kind of see how that works. And so next slide, please, Kate. So you may remember this time last year, we started a discovery to talk to institutions about tagging. We spoke to about 13 different institutions, and we wanted to understand the need for tagging, what people would like to use tagging for, and how tagging might be beneficial inside of each institution. And this obviously ranged globally throughout all of our regions. And we spoke to our customers in the APAC region who are really interested in being able to decolonize curriculums, highlight Maori voices, highlight Indigenous knowledge, and how tagging could help with that. And also globally, looking at the budget cuts and things like that, being able to highlight OER text and things like that. So we were able to get all of that information from a discovery that we did December and January, and we're now putting all of that information into what we are now building in tagging for this first iteration. Now, this is going to obviously include new features, and I say features because I'm going to be specific in a minute when I go through the click-through to show you exactly what they look like. And specifically for the tags for this iteration, they're going to be for reading list item level tags. So not resource level tags or list level tags just yet, just reading list item level tags. And they're going to be part of a fixed taxonomy that is created by librarians or those who have permissions to access the settings area, such as system administrators. So it's not just like a free text tag. And we're looking for a Q1 release here. So I'm going to be a bit more specific about that at the end of the demo. So with that, Kate, I'm going to share my screen. You might very quickly see yourselves on the screen, and then I'll swipe past so that you can see my demo. Okay, can you all see my screen? Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Scott. So today I'm going to show you what we've been working on in terms of the tagging workflow. So this is a click-through design created by our UX designer, Eve, and this isn't it working in real time, so it will look slightly different when it goes live, but I hope that this gives you a good visual representation. So we're going to start in the settings area. So I'm going to click admin and go down to settings. So those of you with system administrator permissions or for roles, or any other permissions will be able to access this area. Now on the side here, you'll see on the left all the different menu items, and we have a new one for tagging. Here you'll have some information on how the tags work, and you'll have the option to add a new tag or create a new tag. For example, for this demo, I'm going to use Indigenous knowledge, and you'll be able to type in the name required here. You can say if you'd like this to be an active status or an inactive status. So for example, if you don't want people to be able to search this in the reading list and add it just yet, or if you want to get rid of a tag that maybe has some associated items, but you don't want people to add them from a certain point, you can deactivate it here. So I'm going to click save. It's a bit reminiscent of how we use importances. So then you can start to build out your taxonomy. So for example, this one for OER, there's 0 associated items. I'm going to click edit, and I can actually delete this tag because there's no associated items. So I don't even have to keep it as inactive. I can just delete it, and then it gets rid of the tag from the list. Now, let's move across to the actual list. So I'm back on my list here. And I'm going to go down and pick a reading list item here. I'm going to click on my 3 dots, and I'm going to go down to add a tag. We've decided to add this action here because Note for Students and Note for Library are also reading list item level actions, and so it's add a tag. So we're going to click add tag, and then you get this drop down box here. And there's 2 ways that you can find a tag. You can click on the box itself and see which tags are available from your taxonomy, or this is a type ahead box, so you can start typing in the name of a tag that you like, and the filter will shorten to show your options. So for this idea here, I'm going to click OER for that tag, and then I'm going to click save. And this is how it will look on your reading list. If you have list editor permissions, you'll be able to delete the tag using the little bin icon. You won't have to go back into the 3 dots and do it through there. You can just get rid of it on the item. And this is what it looks like if you have multiple tags on a reading list item. So they're all underneath, alongside where you'll see your notes for library and notes for student as well. Now, I'm going to kind of take a brief pause on tagging here, because when we were looking at tagging, we noticed that there was a need to be able to filter on multiple tags. And when we looked back through our CI, our continuous improvement pieces of work, there was a general need to be able to filter multiple items on a list by different criteria. So as a separate standalone feature release, we have looked at adding in some more availability inside our filter drop down. So when you click on it now, before you could only filter by physical resources or digitized resources. Now you'll be able to click multiple items. So you might want a physical resource that has the recommendation importance tag on them. And the list will filter to show items with those two specific filters on. So we know that this is something that people have really wanted for a while. I just added some details earlier in our AHA Ideas portal for an idea on this that came through. So it's good to see that that is also something that we were able to include. This will be released completely separately to tagging a bit beforehand, as you won't need tagging to actually use this. You'll be able to see your tags and filter by them as well, but you won't necessarily need to use tagging to use this feature, so that will be released separately. And then you can see here when you've gone past your list and you're looking at your filtered items. Obviously, these items aren't filtered here because this is just a click through, but you'll be able to see what filter items you've selected, and then that there's 2 more in the drop down as well. Now, I'm going to move over to reporting because everyone loves to report. So in terms of tagging, in the all list items report, you'll have the availability to select tags here and add the tags that you'd like to see in your reports. And using the all list items report, you'll be able to, in the export, see any tags associated with a list item, reading list item. And we're doing some investigation now to see how we're going to be able to report on a tag and show you the associated list items with that tag as well. Another thing that we will be doing is adding all of those data points into advanced MIS as well. So our advanced MIS customers will be able to use those data points also. So let's move on to add item to list screen. So I'm going to go back to bookmarks, and obviously Kate just spoke in great detail about the new bookmarking flow, and the team have been working really, really hard on this. So within our new and our classic bookmarking flow, you have the ability to add a bookmarked item to a list. So it becomes a reading list item, and you can add importances, you can add the positions, notes to library, and you'll also now, in the new bookmarking flow only, I'll be able to add a tag as well at the same time. This is not going to be supported in the old bookmarking flow. As you know, we're transferring over on the 12th of Jan. So it will only be available in the new bookmarking flow. And then you can add that here to your list and go back to the reading list there, and that will be available to you. Finally, one more thing I want to talk to you about is reviews. Now, when you go into reviews, you obviously on the side here have all of your reading list items, and you'll also be able to see any tags that are associated with that reading list item. For this iteration, you won't be able to edit in the reviews those tags or get rid of those tags in there, but obviously you'll be able to link back as you would normally to the list to sort those out inside of the list, but they will be there in terms of the review so that you can see those items associated with that tag. Now, earlier I mentioned we were looking at having a Q1 release. So specifically the core functionality of being able to create a tag, delete a tag, activate a tag or deactivate a tag in the settings area, and also add tags to a reading list item will be available. We're working towards the end of January. And then in quick succession after that, we're going to be adding in all of the rest of the bits, the reviews, the reporting and things like that. So you won't have to wait very long for those things to join up afterwards as well. And obviously, like I mentioned, the adding multiple filters in the drop down on the list, that will be completely separate there. And that won't be anything to do with tagging, but since the work has come about during the tagging work, we thought it was really exciting to let you know all about that, and that is coming out separately as well. So expect that sooner, which will be very exciting. I think it's going into development really, really soon. So watch this space and you should hear about that imminently, really. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oh, perfect. I think we're back. This is great. Again.
Good.
Nice. And I will pass over to Scott, who's going to talk to us now about a 2025 review. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Just before I go on to the 2025 review, I have a quick announcement to make about a feature that was going to come out. January 6th, we are going to be enabling clickjacking protections for non-LTI links that open in iframes. That piece of work's been delayed and will probably come out a little bit later in 2026. That had already been emailed to you in a service release. So that's the clickjacking protection that was planned for January 6th has been pushed back, and we don't have a new date for that yet, but it will be sometime next year. Thanks. Okay, if you just move on to the next slide. So quick review of 2025. We've had quite a busy year, and we just sort of highlight some of the things that we've done. Back in the first quarter of the year, we had half a dozen new resource types and new metadata fields that were released as an early part of the bookmarking theme. Those have all obviously been followed through the rest of the bookmarking theme. We've moved on from that. In April to June, we released Talis Engage, which I know a number of you now are using. We did the CCC integration with the American Copyright Agency, and we added a lot of data points to our enhanced MIS data. In July, we added bookmarking labels that Kate showed in Advisource. We had the enhanced Advisource as well. We added a number of new reports. We know there's always new reports that people would like, and we've got a list of other ones that we'll get to, but we added a number in that quarter. And we updated the DC date picker. For those of you that use our copyright flow, you would have seen a much improved date picker there. And then in the last 2 months this year, we did some improvements to Engage based on feedback from all of our customers. We implemented a new list privacy option. So those people that want to hide the ability for students to search for any lists is now available. We did some improvements to the table of contents. So that when you click on the table of contents on list, it takes you to the correct part of the list rather than jumping down a bit, which it was doing. And we've done some WCAG accessibility improvements. And of course, alongside all that have been the bookmarking improvements that have been coming out, as many of you are aware. That's a highlight of some of the things that have come out in 2025. 2026, we're just firming up some of the early things we're planning for 2026. One of the things that we're going to be looking at is an audit of our accessibility early in 2026 and doing some improvements where they're needed. We're also looking at doing a list create facility where if you've got a list in Word or PDF or even a handwritten list or a syllabus, for example, might be a Word document, you'll be able to import that into Talis, and using a bit of clever AI, we'll be able to turn that into a list with sections. And if there are books or journals in that list that we can identify in your library holdings, we will get the record from the library holdings to give you a proper record in the list. That's something where we've done a prototype of, and it worked quite well. So we'll look at moving that into production early next year as well. We're also planning to do some more improvements to the Advisource. We did a discovery with some of you last year, and we're going to be moving forward with some improvements to Advisource, especially looking in the area of making it easy to add OER titles. So searching an OER database and adding those is high on our list because you know OER is important to a lot of you. Other things I'm sure will come throughout the year. We've been going through a priority list. We know that analytics is important, having some more charts and graphs in our list analytics. A lot of people identified as important. And throughout the year, we'll be doing CI tickets. We have a large number of CI tickets. And we do thank you for putting all those in ideas log. Unfortunately, we can't do everything that we get. We'd love to do them all, but that's just not possible. So I'll hand over to Juan, and then we'll answer your questions.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Next slide, please. So our next product update webinar will be on the 12th of Feb. Here's the link so you can register for that. And with that said, next slide. Over to your questions. So let me start with a question from Nick. This is one for Kate. How do we switch on the mandatory importance option so that it appears within Add Resource?
Thank you, Juan. Hi, Nick. How are you? That is in the admin settings. So I believe this one you will need to contact your customer success capable people, and they will turn that on for your tenancy.
Perfect. So the next question, also for you, Kate, is it possible to have the web address displaying in the preview in the new bookmarking? It is showing the DOI if there is one, but not the web address.
Hi, Harry. Thank you for the question. That's a really good question. Please, if you don't mind, could you add it to the ideas portal? We'll start to collect the next batch of improvements. If we can fit anything small in sooner, we will. Otherwise, we'll be collecting improvements for the future. Thank you, Harry.
Okay, perfect. One for Georgia. Will we be able to add tags in bulk?
For this iteration, that is not something that is included, but if this is something that you'd really want to see, just like Kate said, please put it in the AHA ideas portal. That is really how we get a lot of our ideas for our next iterations of work. So yeah, please add that to there if you'd like to see that. Thank you.
So continuing with the tags, will users be able to search for tags in the home screen search bar?
So this is not something that we've included in this iteration, but again, if that's something you do want to see, please add that as well, because we'll be looking through to see how we can improve this going forward. Thank you.
Scott, you've already covered this, but it was whether we're planning on doing any analytics update.
Yeah, Nick, we don't have a timeline on that yet. We'll probably be doing some discovery on it early next year. So as soon as we've got timelines on it, we will let people know, but it's something we do want to do next year.
Okay. Georgia, another question about tags. We don't have unique codes for our overseas campus modules. Is it possible to tag a list with a campus location with campus tag attached to it? It will be so much easier for us to identify a list for other campuses.
I can see how that would be really useful. In this specific iteration, we're just doing reading list item level tags. But again, please add it to the ideas portal because we're always looking to see how we can help improve your workflows.
Okay, perfect. And the last question is being able to filter reading lists resources by more than one menu option along the top. Can you only select more than one filter from the same drop down menu or also across different menus? So for example,
Thank you.
So for example, filter by a particular list section and then also by has a note for library.
So essentially the way that the menu bars work at the top, those drop downs, they all continue to work the same. We've just made an addition to that filter drop down where you can select multiple there.
Perfect. Those were all the questions we had. We've got 1 additional minute. So if you have any last minute questions, please ask them now.
Is it time to wish everyone a Merry Christmas as well?
Yes.
First time that's happened this year. Wow.
It still feels so early.
So it does seem early, but it'll be there soon.
Yes, and then New Year, and it'll be 2026.
Fantastic to see everyone again.
Okay, just waiting for a couple of seconds. Otherwise, we can just say thank you for attending the product update webinar, and we look forward to seeing you in Feb.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a great year.
Thank you.